everyone. Despite the social distancing, look at all these long lines. Wow. So much for social distancing. We're going to expect a huge voter turnout. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at this. Never ending. Unbelievable. Huge lines. I don't think I should even consider casting. It's just unbelievably long and endless. Look at this. All these long lines, mail drop-off, everything. You name it. It's just unbelievable.
Hello everyone, hope everybody is doing well. Before I get to the topic, I want to go to the live primary election results, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but as you know, it is quite fishy out there that they actually reported the results overnight, right around 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So you can see right here, we can start off with the 3rd Congressional District, and Dan Rodemer, I believe, is going to be the winner. So you may not like him, but still, I guess it's good to try an outsider. So let's talk about the main story. Oh, and I also forgot, by the way, it's actually a pretty cool 65 degrees out here. We actually had temperatures in the 50s last night, and high temperatures barely even hit 80 degrees, so it's a very unusually cool June. So I guess our summers are not as bad as a lot of people claim to be. So as you know, that the shutdown undoubtedly hurt the Nevada economy more than any other state in the U.S. The unemployment rate obviously was and is currently the highest in the United States. And believe it or not, the unemployment rate may not be obviously so truthful as we're led to believe. And the reason for that is because they don't include the people that couldn't get into the rolls. And obviously it doesn't include the people who gave up for work, etc. Many people have talked about this all over YouTube. Not to mention the foreign-born unemployment rate is significantly higher. So as a result of this horrible economic reality, fiscally, Nevada is basically in a black hole. Now, you can argue that the shutdown was too far by Governor Sisolak. You can argue that the COVID-19 was a giant hoax. You can also argue that a lot of these private sector and public sectors have probably gone too far. But the bottom line is that this economic calamity we're seeing reveals the true horror, the true reality of how fragile our economy really is, not to mention the poor management that we've had. So you can't just blame it all on COVID. You have to blame these politicians that have been running our state and our county for years and decades, and not to mention this horrible banking and financial system. But as you know, they're using this crisis as really the scapegoat to blame the entire cause of the problem. Now, again, I don't want to get into exactly the civil unrest, the protest that's actually happening. As you know, the governor has talked about, oh, he's a privileged white man, even though Iranian Americans like myself make more on average than people like him. And considering the fact that he's doing this to pander to votes, and it's certainly working based on the election results I am seeing right now. So here's the bottom line. You've got to keep in mind that they are not working for you. They can be hyping up crisis to carry on their agenda. And the bottom line is, whether you are looking at Republicans or Democrats, and I know I say Republicans because I know a lot of you folks out there are saying, oh, it's the Democrats. Oh, they're horrible. You got to vote red. And yeah, we had a lot of Republican politicians and they've been selling us out. But the bottom line is that their agenda is about the same. And they're there to serve the special interests, the NGOs, the large corporations, mainly casinos, and not us. That's the thing you got to keep in mind. And until the masses don't understand this, the game isn't going to really change. As a matter of fact, speaking of all of these missed funds, keep in mind, though, that we really have a regressive taxation system. And what that means is that because of our source of revenue comes from sales and property taxes, the lower incomes pay a higher portion of their income into the system. Now, people are saying, well, Cyrus, should we impose a state income tax? I'm like, no, not necessarily. But what you have, of course, is that a lot of mining and casino operators, they're not paying their share of taxes relative to the average person, percentage-wise. That's the thing. So that shows that our taxation is actually regressive. And believe it or not, I was told that they put it in the state constitution to make it difficult to raise taxes on casinos. Because as you know, the casino taxes are actually 6.5%, the lowest in the country. Think about it. Why? Because you have to follow the money. The mega donors flood lots of dough, and I guess you can call it bribery, into their campaigns to basically make sure that the higher tax revenue that they want to feed to the wasteful spending, the public employees, etc., the roads, goes to us, the hard-working taxpayers, and basically the casinos can basically suck everything up. That's exactly what the true agenda of this is. And it doesn't really matter much, folks, whether you have Sisolak or the previous guy, Sandoval, in office. It's the same crap. So you have to get the truth out. Now, speaking of wasteful spending, do you know that Sisolak spent a lot of money, about $10 million on a foreign jet? Did you guys know that about 20% of the students in the school districts in the state of Nevada are not even here legally in terms of their parents? Think about that. Maybe it's time for the Supreme Court to strike down the 1982 decision, I think it's called Plyer versus Doe, that allows them to get public schools. But more importantly, it's about the fact that who's paying for it, and it's us disproportionately. A lot of wealthy people are getting exemptions and favors. And believe it or not, what about all this wasteful money that's being spent on public employees? And speaking about public employees, we know it's going to hurt and hit California very soon with the CalPERS system. So don't think other states are necessarily a whole lot better. But when you have superintendents that are making like $250,000 a year, that certainly tells you something. What about the weed money? We were told they were supposed to raise money for education, but they put it in a rainy day fund. And guess what? Guess what? Now, who knows what they're going to do with the money? Waste it? A lot of empty promises. They wasted money on a stadium project. I told you years ago that there's going to be another economic downturn, that our economy is so fragile. Think about it. You guys need to really understand what's going on. And speaking of waste, what about the October 1 victims funds that Sisolak was supposed to carry on and help out? Where did that money go? So what's going to happen, folks? Are they going to raise your sales taxes again after they told us last year that they need to help the kids? All these empty promises. And believe it or not, I don't buy into the notion that these tax increases are temporary. Who are you fooling? At least the population has gotten wiser than ever before. So you want to make sales taxes 10%? You want to raise property taxes? Go ahead. It's going to backfire. Because the single most attractive aspect of living in the state is the tax climate. And guess what? If the tax climate is not so good, then what's the main draw of living here? It's going to backfire. A lot of companies may leave or may refuse to move here. They're begging Tesla to move here. Think about it. And if a lot of residents leave, they're going to lose money. That's the sad truth, especially when you're going to bring in increased property taxes, which is going to bring in downward pressure on home values. And Income taxes, right. Now, of course, bringing the income tax is not going to be easy. It's just all the hurdles and everything. It's going to take a long time. But even if they were to do that, you're going to see hundreds of thousands of people leave the state. I don't think a lot of people want to pay a lot to live in a state like Nevada, considering what it has. And I'm not saying it's a hellhole, but what are you getting for your money? And think about it. They've raised a lot of other taxes, commerce taxes. Where did that money go? Folks, you need to start asking some questions. This is the thing. And the fact of the matter is, look, the real problem is in Sisolak. The political system is garbage. You can call it the Reid machine, the phony labor unions like Culinary. This is the main reason why I have a concern with immigration, because they want to use them as pawns to pump up these corrupt politicians. The casino donors, the outside donors like Bloomberg, Koch, Soros. Think about it. This political system is garbage, but more importantly, the real problem is the people of this state. That's the sad reality. They're not willing to go out in the street with balls and overthrow this government. And this is what we need to do this coming legislative session, this coming January, is to flood Carson City and demand accountability, an audit, and an overthrow of the system. Because folks, I don't want you to rely on these elections. They're totally rigged. Massive manipulation. Forget about it. They don't really mean much. Empty promise after empty promise. I mean, have you literally gotten enough of all of this crap? This is the really, really sad part. And folks, I know there have been people out there that have been trying to recall him, but that is not going to really solve the heart of the problem. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Please stay tuned. $812 million. That's just a lot of money. Spread these videos as they come, because we need to make sure that these channels are the true media platforms that's against the establishment. Remember this. It's us versus the establishment. Forget these paradigms.